If there were one lesson that I could teach any business owner, team member, leader, member of my family, I've got kind of 2 kids that size and that size, if I can teach them one thing, it's probably this lesson here. It's called above and below the line. And it really is a philosophy for life. And I guess that it starts with this thing here, which just says, look, this line represents the line of choice. How we perform in our lives really is a choice. Now, you've got to be of a view that supports that thought. But it's my belief that actually I can choose to perform at a high level or a low level. And there are attributes of success or attributes of high performance and low performance. I guess the low performance, if we just look at those, what we're looking at is, and you'll recognize this in yourself and in the people that are surrounding you, whether that be in a work environment or indeed in a family environment. But what you'll get a lot of are these things here: blame, excuses, and denial. So again, as cheesy as this may be, when you point the finger of blame, what happens? One finger points out, the other comes straight back at you. So we know that's not a good position to be in. You wouldn't find anyone that's high performing pointing the finger of blame. Here's the thing: the opposite of blame, of course, is where you take responsibility. Okay? So rather than doing that, you would say, actually, do you know what? That didn't work out the way I intended, but that's down to me as opposed to the other person. So again, that's what responsibility would look like. What about excuses? Well, look, when the result isn't achieved, when the deadline isn't hit, what people often do is they come out, oh, let me give you the context for that, or the reason. Well, look, that's all just posh words for saying it's an excuse for the non-delivery of the thing that we set out for doing. We're not, again, in the spirit of moving forward and always making progress, we're not interested in the excuses. What we're much more interested in, of course, is where people actually hold themselves accountable. Or accountability is a key characteristic of those people who perform at high levels. And then we've got denial. A lot of the time what we'll see, I'm sure, is out there is people effectively burying their head in the sand, putting their hands on their ears, la la la, I'm not listening, this isn't happening. Again, do you know people, or do you see it in yourself potentially, whereby you're maybe, there's a problem out there that it needs to be dealt with, but you're hoping it goes away. Now, the reality is, in my experience of life, and I'm sure you're the same, problems tend not to get any smaller the longer that we leave them. It's the opposite. They get much bigger. And again, for dramatic effect, we've all kind of heard the stories, and we've been told by our parents, make sure you check yourself for lumps and bumps. And the first thing that you would do is, if you find something suspicious, you go to the doctor and you deal with it. But again, there are those who put going to the doctor off, and then we hear the stories, of course, of, well, if only you'd come a little bit sooner, maybe we could have done something about it. So this idea of taking ownership for our situation, the only person really that is going to look after you is yourself. You've got to look after yourself first. You've got to take ownership for you and for everything that you do. So this is how this thing builds out. Now, again, I know it's only 6 words on a bit of paper with a line through it, and you could dismiss it as being, well, that's just too simple. But you apply this logic, not this logic, but this philosophy to everything that you do, and just you try and spot yourself and just say, okay, how many times am I actually putting myself below the line versus above the line? Again, we're human, we do dip below the line. The reality is, though, it ain't that good a place to stay for very long. Let's move ourselves to this point here. So again, we could spend literally a day, on how this applies to everything that you do in life. Listen, this is just a short video. I hope it's given you some food for thought. Of course, as ever, I'm interested in kind of your comments and what you think about this. So look, all I can encourage you to do is choose a life of high performance, stay above the line. Till we meet, good luck in business.